I'm excited to be here this afternoon with Jeff and Andrea fitting for our Faces of Temple Emanuel series. Jeff and Andrea, how are you doing this afternoon?
Couldn't be better. We're so
That's
happy
great.
to be part of this endeavor we've got going. It's really neat to have the Faces of Temple. It's great.
I'm so
Yet another Zoom meeting, right? But this is a special one.
Exactly, and I'm so excited. The two of you have been members for a while and need no introduction, but this is a great way, not only for new members, but for everyone, myself included, to get to deepen our knowledge of the two of you. And before we got started, you were sharing a little bit about the graphic design that we're using, both in that logo and on Temple's emails. Would you share just a little bit more with everyone?
Yeah, I had a branding and marketing agency that Jeff was a part of for the last 13 years of it, and we sold it in 2013. But during those earlier years, we developed the logo for Temple that you see and some of the photography that you're looking at that Jeff did, and we built the full website.
That's really cool. And we owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude. Someone that you've worked with in a professional capacity, Beatrice King, whom you recommended for our summer intern, has simply blown us away. She is amazing and organized and has an eye for this that is so enriched everything we've done this summer.
Well, we're pleased we could make the connection.
She's great.
Yes. So say a little bit more both about your background right now and what neighborhood the two of you live in.
Well, like you said, she had an entrepreneurial spirit and had her marketing and branding agency for over 30 years, I think. And I started my career as an engineer, electrical engineer, and worked in various jobs, Rockwell International, Fisher Scientific, a robotics company early on, and Union Switch and Signal for the last 10 years. Then I quit that whole career and decided to be her tech
He joined the family
advisor,
business.
with Fitting Group, and we basically finished that up in
13.
13. Yeah,
So
so we've been basically working on our house since then.
We live in the Hoodridge area. Our children, we moved here in 2012. Our children went to foster school when they lived here. They're in their 30s now. And we lived across on the other side of Connor Road. And so they had a long ways to go to get to school. But we're now just a couple of blocks from the school. And when they heard we were moving to this house, they said, "Oh, now you move closer to the school." So that's the way it goes.
We're closer to the Batses now, so we visit them. We can walk to their house.
Oh, wonderful. When I was growing up in Erie, I made the decision to go to Ohio State. And while I was in Ohio State, my parents moved to Ohio right before my brother went to the University of Pittsburgh. We decided it was their massive plot to screw us both out of in-state tuition. So I feel as your children do.
Timing is everything.
Yes, indeed. No, and it is wonderful to hear what you are up to now. I also understand, Jeff, that you are quite handy around the house and that you often have many different projects going in not only the home improvement sphere, but when others call as well, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I like to help my friends and neighbors, and everybody thinks it's great that they know somebody that has a pickup truck and some tools that I've been collecting all this time. But, as an engineer, I'm always trying to figure out, instead of hiring somebody, I go to YouTube and figure out how that works and how people have fixed it before. And if it gives me a chance to go to Home Depot and buy tools, then
His favorite place to go.
I'm happy.
I call him the fix-a-la.
I love it. I love it. So when you guys aren't working, when you are not spending your time out and about, describe the ideal day. What are you doing for fun, either right now in this interesting time in which we live or before this? What does a fun day out and about look like?
Well, now we're doing vegetable gardening. We've been doing that for the last few years, but this year it got to be a profession.
It's a COVID garden. Yes.
Yeah.
So
every day we get up and we check what's grown. It grows overnight. So,
what hasn't been eaten by the chipmunks. And so it's a battle.
Jeff, Mr. McGregor over here, he built up all this fencing to keep all the wildlife out.
Yeah, except the little critters get through. But we have to share. We have some of the tomatoes that are really ripe, and maybe they already ate one. I'll put it on the outside of the fence as a sacrificial tomato, and so that they find that to be easier to nibble on. instead of getting on the vine
Yeah.
and eating more of them. So that's trying to outwit them. They're pretty wily.
When we get out of, like to bike ride on the rails to trails and, you know, other places, and we like to hike, and we've been finding,
Go out with our group of friends.
yeah, discovering, we go on the masked and social distance hikes. And I post stuff on Instagram under my regular name. And so you can see what we're doing if you're curious there. And we try to find, you know, really interesting hikes. We live in a forest. We're taking advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Pennsylvania's
beautiful
beautiful
places to get out and about. You know, you don't have to go to crowds to enjoy yourself. So.
Mm-hmm.
It is indeed, and I'm glad that it's cooling down a little bit, or so you can get out there earlier in the morning. The sacrificial tomato reminds me, did you see the Facebook and YouTube video of the squirrel ninja obstacle course?
No, but we're going to look that up.
I will post a link in the chat section. Brought tears to my eyes, the very scientific understanding of squirrels that he gained by creating an obstacle course. It was funny. What's growing particularly well right now?
Eggplants look good.
Zucchini.
We're about to have enough eggplant to make a keto version of eggplant parmesan.
Yeah, she does a lot of keto cooking.
Yeah.
We got lots of zucchini.
Oh my goodness, we can't give away the cucumbers fast
cucumbers.
enough. Every day we have like half a dozen more giant cucumbers.
Looking over there, pepper plants.
Basil's doing
tomato,
well this year.
Basil.
Really well. Mm-hmm.
We got a new thing. It's a hanging strawberry planter. It hangs from a chain. It's full of dirt. It's basically a big bag. And strawberry plants are inserted around the perimeter of it.
Jeff planted it.
Bottom. And
so every day.
Higher, so the chipmunks have not gotten to that.
We have a few strawberries every
air.
day. Mm-hmm.
Nice. It sounds like the vegetable gardener's dream. I have a feeling when Emily watches this, I'm going to be in a world of trouble. She's been on me to dig up the backyard already, and this is only going to make it worse.
Give you some tips, if not help.
The Fixalo will help.
I appreciate it.
Dump it up.
So anything in particular that you've been reading or watching lately that you would recommend? Anything that has really captivated your attention?
Jeff's a science fiction fan.
Yeah, I also like cult movies, you know, Big Lebowski and Fifth Element, and you know, I like all the Star Wars stuff. I just heard that there's a new movie coming out, Dune 2020, from the Frank Herbert sci-fi.
That's from our youth.
And yes, and I thought it was a real interesting novel, but the original movie back in 1984, when my first child was born, Stephanie, it had production values from 1984, you know, the special effects. And it was really hard to translate that novel into a movie. So I'm interested to know how it's going to go with this new one. Hopefully it won't be only in the theaters.
And I read, and I love reading, and I go through maybe a book every day or two. And I try to read actually two different kinds. One is things that are, you know, current. So I'm reading the Indigenous Peoples' History of the United States, which is not light reading and very upsetting, but important to know. And it sort of touches on my background in archaeology and anthropology too. That's actually my professional training.
She was a PhD professor before she became a marketer extraordinaire.
So that's a really, that's a really heavy book, but I think important to know. And then the other stuff I read is, I try to find legal thrillers that are more outlandish than what's actually going on in the world.
It's hard to find.
And it's been harder and harder to find things that are outlandish enough. So my most recent one is called An Engineered Injustice, William L. Myers. So if you want to do a little escapism, it's a good one.
I find that my reading style matches the hybrid of the two of you. I'm right in the middle. I try to read one enriching or professionally satisfying and stimulating book, and then one escapist book, and it tends to be in the science fiction realm or fantasy realm right now. So I will keep coming to the two of you for recommendations. So the last question that I want to ask you, and I'm so grateful for your time this afternoon, is just, you know, there is so much going on in this world right now. And I'm curious what the two of you have an eye on. What are those things, those perhaps causes or charities or philanthropic or time endeavors that you have an eye on? What keeps you up at night right now?
Well, I have two professional things that I'm doing, which satisfy actually those things. One is I sit on the board of the Women and Girls Foundation, whose mission is to elevate the voices of women and girls and make sure that women can thrive in our society and girls can soar. And we have one of the keystone programs is called Girl Gov, and it introduces the world of politics to girls in high school and shows them that, you know, they have power. And that's a very, very successful program. So I love that work. The other thing that I'm involved in is I do facilitation for peer-to-peer groups of entrepreneurs in marginalized neighborhoods. So we go into neighborhoods like Wilkinsburg or Hazelwood or McKeesport and set up the kinds of peer-to-peer groups of entrepreneurs that were not really available to people who were under-resourced before. You know, they were the bailiwick of like the Fortune 500 CEOs. But my own experience as an entrepreneur was that peer-to-peer groups are exceptionally beneficial. And so this whole organization has the model of helping set up these peer-to-peer groups in neighborhoods around Pittsburgh. And now also we've expanded into Massachusetts. So we're in the neighborhoods like Lowell and Lawrence and Cape Cod and Fall River around the Boston area. And then Jeff is
I've
family.
been thinking about all our family, and our kids both live in Chicago. Stephanie and her husband Mike, she's a midwife and he's a school teacher, and she's working every day, and I think he's preparing for the fall and what's facing him. Julia and Coco live not far from them, so they see each other. Julia is a pastry chef and helping opening the restaurant again, and working through all that trouble. So I worry about him. And Coco is a professional trainer, and he's back to work again, doing things at a different level, I guess, a different pace. But yeah, so we're all in the working world, and we worry about them
Every day
in the world. And locally, my father's 97. He's living by himself in independent living in Masonic Village. But since they closed the dining hall, you know, he no longer has the camaraderie of going down there and eating with friends. He's been really pining away, and he's lost 30 pounds since the beginning of the year, and he's just, you know, feeling a little bit weak about things. So I visit him at least once a week, bringing him groceries and trying to give him things that he enjoys. And my sister's battling breast cancer, and so she's doing chemo now and already lost her hair. Her spirits are good, but she's got a real fight ahead of her. So I'm concerned about her too. My brother and sister are having their whole family are way up in the North Hills of Bradford Woods. Chris and their kids both live all up with them, so they have a lot of support on their own. Yeah, so I worry about family. That's the main thing.
Yep.
She worries about everything else.
That is more than enough to keep you up at night. And I wish a tremendous amount of strength for your father and your sister, and safety for your kids as they navigate this world that they now find themselves on the front line of.
They are definitely on the front line.
To go well. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for this time. I'm grateful to get to know you a little bit better, as I trust others will be as they're watching along with us. I did post that squirrel video in the comments and would encourage you to check it out when you need a 10-minute break from the heaviness of this world. But again, I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, and thank you for everything. We're so pleased that you're our spiritual leader now.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have you part of our team.
Thank you.